how to live the life of your dreams, how to live a life that's even better than you thought that you could. It's actually even better than you imagined. Welcome in, fam. Much love. Trav here. And I don't know if you're like me, but I grew up, I went through the entire school system, and no one ever sat down with me and said, hey, Travis, here's how you have a good life. Here's the elements, components to happiness. Here's what you have to do to feel contented and fulfilled and stimulated. No one ever taught me that. And it wasn't until my mid-20s that I even started to think like, wow, this is probably something that I should have learned. This is probably something that someone should have taught me. This is something that I should have sought out. And I started to look into what composed a good life, what made people happy, what made people live a long time, what made people stay together, what made people rate high levels of happiness, looking at stuff, Blue Zones, Dan Buttner, listening to Tai Lopez, reading The Good Life by, what's the name, Helen, and etc. But just studying, looking at, I had spent so much of my life just kind of with tunnel vision, narrow on what's in front of me, and not enough taking a big step, big picture back. So that's what we're going to do. It's something that I've been talking about a lot recently. And the reason why is because I feel like a lot of it is coming together for me now that I've have a life that's really better than I imagined. And in order to do that for me, I had to live lives that were worse than I imagined. I had to have some dreams come true and find that, well, this isn't really for me after all. I had to try out a lot of things. Here's a key though. You should look at some of the stuff I've done and be like, well, at least that wasn't me. I'm glad that wasn't me. I'm glad I didn't have to learn from my own mistakes. I can learn from his mistakes, because I made a lot of mistakes, really wasted some years figuring shit out because I didn't have the right guidance, the type of stuff that I'm going to tell you now. And it's something that if you've been listening every day, it's worth repeating. But what makes a good life? Well, there's various components, but I think the number one most important thing that we need to realize, and some people will argue this point, but humans live in societies, they live with other people, they live with families, that we live in cities, we live in villages, we live in communities, we live with roommates, we work with other people. There's a few hermits out there. They don't tend to be very happy or procreative. They don't pass on as much. This isn't an introvert-extrovert thing. This is just humans. Very key to living the good life is having good social relations, having good friends, having family, kin around, people that have known you for a long time, or going through stuff with people, having being able to say what you want, or feeling safe, and having basically living in the right community, working with the right teams. This sort of stuff is overwhelmingly important in how happy that we feel. There's other stuff that matters too. Income is important. Yeah, a lack of money causes unhappiness. We know that. We know that once you have, 60 grand, 100 grand a year, whatever. Once your basic, everything is met, and you have a little bit extra to give away, you're happy. You don't need more. But that is one factor. Health is important. Being physically, being sick all the time and dying is not really a good way to live. So you want to be healthy and vigorous. That's important. Love goes with the relationships. The way we also know that the way that you look at the world is really important. Your frames, your visions, your lenses, the stories that you tell yourself, that's important. But one of the most important things is the groups that you're in. Humans are a group. We're not just one-on-one. Yeah, you want to have the right one-on-one relationships. You want to have a good, loving relationship. Those tend to be somewhat unreliable because you're putting your eggs in someone else's basket and they can walk away with them. You have higher potential for happiness with loving romantic relationships. That's important. You also have a potential to be very unhappy if things go poorly. You should definitely be pursuing that, but you should also be spreading your love, spreading your social, spreading your friendships, having, Dunbar's number, villages is something like 200 relationships in the village. And then you can also keep track, the human brain supposedly grew to accommodate this, keeping track of, it's like 10,000 relationships, 200 interconnecting the relationships other people have with each other, to keep track of those, like what other people's relationships are. So you want to have, and this has been lost as we moved from villages to cities, and we moved from cities to urban metropolises, and everybody's in their own room, on their own phone, on their own computer. So how do we get back there? Well, I think that career is really important, and also volunteering. That's something that I've talked about, but like, you can only be so happy in a career that's not socially fulfilling, because you're going to spend so much time in that. It doesn't mean there's one perfect job for you, but it's also how you play it. Like, if you're if you're a server at a restaurant, that's a totally reasonable career. And you can be like, oh man, I meant for more. Or you could be like, well, I have an opportunity to make a lot of friends and to brighten a lot of people's days with that. And at the end of the day, how I feel like fulfilled, because I had this little butterfly effect. But having the right teams and groups is important, and doing something that you think is important, and doing something that other people feel is important, so that you feel needed, so that you're compelled to get up in the morning, get out there early, work hard all day, feel good at the end of the day, and keep doing that for a long, healthy life. Be motivated to keep yourself healthy for other people as well. Keys to a better life, Some of you followed my story for a while. I wasn't the happiest person when I was traveling Europe by myself. I had some really fucking bad times, actually. Don't do that. Traveling the world, it wasn't until I had a lot of happiness from magic, actually, when I was working with teams and was traveling with my bros, and we were working together. We were going out and hanging out, and working on something. But didn't feel that important. It was when I started getting involved in farming communities, organic farming communities, organic, sustainable, regenerative agriculture, working with groups and teams outside, that I really felt like, okay, it's starting to click. And that wasn't a job, it was volunteering. I became a part-time volunteer, and then a full-time volunteer almost. And it's the teams and so on. And one key, something that you should keep in mind, I haven't necessarily been including this in the recent talks on this, is it's better to integrate as much stuff as you can. Integrate your life as much as you can. By the way, smash that motherfucking like button, fam. You look at most people's lives and they're all compartmentalized. Your work friends are different from your out-of-work friends, are different from where your roommates is different, and you're driving between all these places, different from your gym, and there's gym, you go to, there's a little bit of overlap. You have one gym friend from work, maybe you have one work friend that hangs, it's just, so if you can integrate that more. The extreme example is what I'm doing, where I live on the farm, work on the farm. There's a great community here, and lots of new people coming in, so I'm meeting a lot of people, and like my relationships and so on. It's all integrated. I have a vehicle, I can leave and go into town and meet other people if I want to do that. Don't have to. So that's the extreme, but if you can integrate it more, I think it's really helpful. You spend less time in transit as well, less time in traffic. Another key I talked about, this is super important, go a little bit more in depth into health. So health is so much lifestyle. There's only so much you can do to make up for a shitty lifestyle. If you're sitting inside all day and on the computer all day and you're eating shit food, 1 hour at the gym isn't going to do too much. It will make a difference, but it's not going to do too much. You want to be really healthy, and this is important for happiness, because you just feel good. Your neurons are firing off dopamine, serotonin in your brain. You're not sick. You get to live longer, be more vigorous, more effective. Lifestyle. We're talking about integrating this. So there's a couple. One possibility is like being a yoga teacher, or like a professional athlete, or an athletic trainer. There's actually a lot of jobs in that sort of industry. Even being a construction worker, or working with animals outside, or what I'm doing, being a farmer, organic farmer, or just having your job set up in such a way that you have a lot of the day to be outside. If you're like you have e-business and you can do sports activities and stuff like that, or volunteering on the weekends, just logging more time doing physical exercise where you're with people. We're talking about integrating right now. So you're working and you're volunteering and you're working out and you're with people and you're outside, and all of this is integrated. So sort of volunteering, like it doesn't have to be outside, but like volunteering at the aquarium, or there's one I read recently, Soul of an Octopus is an excellent book. Volunteering, local farm, volunteering beach cleanups, volunteering park cleanups, going and pulling plastic bags out of trees, this sort of a thing. Just getting your lifestyle more integrated to be healthy and to be happy with other people is key. Your money, if you're doing good work, presumably you're going to be rewarded enough to live, and that will be somewhat taken care of. You only have to chase money so much. If you're making a big impact, a lot of offers will come your way. You'll have to understand some sales and negotiation and so on, but it will come your way. And then love, coming back to love, romance, this is important. Family is important. This isn't something that I have all figured out yet, but I've learned more. And like I said, being divested, spreading out your friendship and your love amongst other people is nice, so that you have a life and that you're not too smothering and you're not too dependent. Become codependent. Seems important. Right place, right time is important, like that you're living in the right place. A lot of shit goes wrong when I've observed this, when couples have to move, one of them has to move, the other one stays, or both move together and they become unhappy and split. So, right place, right time is important. As important as the right person, because it can feel like be the right person in the right place, but if the place changes and the time changes, it's no longer the right person. And then money is also important to relationships. It's the number one cause of divorce, actually, or something that I've heard frequently, is money issues. Not that you need a ton, but you need enough. So you have to take care of yourself first, and that stuff will come together more. And another key that I've been sharing recently is the more you love other people and the more other people you love, the happier you will be. That's more correlated to your happiness than how many people love you. So forget pursuing other people's love. Make your goal to go out in the days and share your love with the community, with the group, with other people, and you'll make a difference that way. You'll be happier that way. You'll have a better life, more fulfilling life that way. Hope you found it useful. If you made it all the way to the end, 2 recommendations. Number 1, we would love to hear what you have to say in the comments about anything useful that you've learned or anything useful that you have to share that we could learn from you. And then the other thing, I have a recent book on, I wish I had told me sooner, on life lessons, things that like this compiled into book form. So you should check that out. There will be a link to that. It's on Amazon, and if you like it, leave a review. If you've got it, leave a review. So hope you find that useful. Appreciate you. Look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. Take care, fam. Much love.